What's going on, everybody? Welcome to my Arnold Classic prediction video. So today we are going to go through just the men's open bodybuilders. I'm going to do classic physique next, and then I might do the fitness and bikini categories. I'm not as knowledgeable about those ones, but I will still try to do them if I feel like it. But we will start with just the Arnold Classic open competitors. Alright, so we have the Arnold Classic competitors right here. So we will start with the number 11 spot. And number 11, I'm going to put in, let me find him on my list, Muhammad El Imam. Now, he was doing great earlier in the season, but he didn't win a show. And the last time we saw him, he slipped quite a few placings, enough to not be in Olympia. He got beat out in points by, I believe, Vlad and Hassan Mustafa beat him out in now points. He's a great physique. It's just he doesn't have the overall size that some of these other guys have, and you can kind of see in this video, he kind of has too much of a gut, in my opinion, and I really think that hurts him. But otherwise, taking out that gut, his structure's good. Legs could be a little bit bigger. This is definitely a competition where legs are a big part. All these guys have massive legs. Chest could be a little bit fuller. I don't know if he's flat here, but it could be fuller. I don't know how old this is. Oh, this is September 5th, so this is coming up. This is very recent stuff, and he just doesn't look like he's going to be able to handle it. Now, is he a bad bodybuilder? No, he's a great bodybuilder. Problem is that he is going into an Arnold Classic lineup where the competitors are stacked, where tons of these guys could probably win the show, but I think we're only going to have one true winner. So this is going to be Muhammad El Imam at number 11. So next on our list, if we go back, who else do we have on here? I will mention, we do not have Rolly Winkler on this list. For some reason, Rolly is gone. I don't know if Rolly secretly pulled out of the show or what happened, but we are not including him in the 12 competitors because he's not on the list, so we're only doing 11 competitors for the show. Which, for open guys, 11, that's not bad for an Arnold Classic. That's a good amount. So, who would I put in number 10 to round out our top 10 spot? I personally believe we are going to see Mr. Seung Cho Lee, who I think he placed 14th at the Olympia last year. I could be wrong, but I think he was 14th at the Olympia. His placing at the Olympia I felt was pretty justified. Even his position in the Olympia, I think it was more political why he was there. I think that Samson Dauda definitely beat him at that show. But he did get the qualification for the Olympia. He competed, and he competed pretty recently. I don't remember what show he did. He did, maybe it was Texas, something like that. A very recent show, and he, I think he placed 5th in the show. He's a big guy, definitely a big guy, but I just feel like he's kind of lacking. I think his best part is his legs, which I was mentioning before. Legs are a huge thing for this show. You need good legs if you're going to do well in this Arnold Classic. But yeah, I just don't see him, based on his recent pictures, his recent showing, I don't see him doing much better than 10th place at an Arnold. But it's a stacked Arnold, so I do think he's going to look better than he did last year at the Olympia. I do think he's definitely going to look better than his last show. But I don't think he's going to look completely the best out of anyone, because a lot of these guys are huge freaking guys. And I do have to say one thing with him that wasn't at the Olympia, but I had a feeling, maybe I'm just remembering wrong, but I remember the last show he did, I remember his conditioning wasn't even super wild too. So actually, I don't even think he was on the list of qualified points. So I think that means he got, 6th place then? Maybe? If he didn't get any points. Maybe he was 5th or 6th. But still, he did not do very well. And no hate towards any of these bodybuilders. but I don't think he's going to do better than 10th place. I do think he's going to beat Muhammad Ali Momen, but I don't think he's going to do much better than that. So, back to the list. We have Seung Cho Lee and Muhammad Ali Momen, both right here, done. Oh, you could even see right here, Muhammad looks good, but even like compared to these older pictures of some of these guys, like I don't know why they picked these pictures for Hassan and Ian, but that's besides the point. These guys all look great. This is one thing I will say that I didn't mention about Seung Cho Lee. His leg from the side is not going to be enough. I didn't realize he's actually lacking a lot of hamstring compared to some of these other guys. Some of these other guys, their hamstrings just drop. They have huge legs. So, my number 9 spot is going to go to Max Charles. So Max Charles is someone who's made tons of improvement, but when you're going against a lineup of people that have all made tons of improvement, you really, really need to stand out. And he did good at his last show. I think he did the Tampa show. He did good there, but he just is not where he needs to be compared to these other guys. And I don't know what much more Max Charles could really do. He improved a lot from last year, but I don't see him even standing close to any of these guys. When you get to this size, you just can't. Getting bigger isn't going to do anything. It's just going to blow out your midsection. It's more so fine-tuning any muscles that might be smaller, which he's got a good back from what I remember. So it's not that. It's just its overall structure at that point. You genetically are limited at what you can do. So I'm going to put Max at number 9 on this list, even though he is very much improved from last showing. I do think these other competitors have all beaten him quite a few times. So I think these other competitors have beaten him quite a few times. So I think he's going to get beat out once again. So, next on our list, actually it's kind of funny that the 3 guys I just did, all right next to each other in a row, Muhammad, Seung Cho Lee, and Max. I didn't even plan that. So, the next guy on our list is someone that he honestly could be last place if he doesn't pick it up, but I think he's had enough time off for a couple weeks. I think he's going to be able to nail it because he really wants to nail it, and that is going to be Mr. Hassan Mustafa. Hassan, I'm talking about freaking legs. This guy's got the freakiest of freaky legs. You could see him right here. Look at him. Just insane. Obviously, this is edited, but still, he looks crazy. Hassan is definitely a big, full bodybuilder, but the one thing he's missing is his conditioning. This man shows up at 100%. He would go from 8th place in my eyes to, he would be like maybe top 4 at this Arnold. He would be crazy, and he would do, easily he could get like top 8 at the Olympia if he was shredded. He's so big. It's just, he has what Big Ramy was lacking in the beginning. That Big Ramy in the older days just could not get conditioned enough. And it's really hard when you're this massive to get conditions. For some reason they peak him properly. So hopefully he figured it out, just as Big Ramy took a while to figure it out. Hopefully he figured it out, and he gets these legs to get some cuts in, because if he gets definition in these legs and cuts in these legs, it's game over for anyone. Like, he's instantly shooting up tons of points. He's going straight up to the top. But for now, I'm going to leave him at number 8 because I don't want to put too much faith in him that he's going to be shredded. This is just me being hopeful that he will actually learn. So next on our list is going to be someone that I feel like gets really overlooked for no reason. And it is going to be Mr. Justin Rodriguez. So Justin, he has the shape. Honest, I've met him in person too. He is massive. I mean, any of these guys will be massive, but he definitely has the mass and the shape to go along. Look at this. This is 22 hours ago. This is from last year's Chicago Pro Prep, but still, he is looking crazy. And I remember his Indy Pro, he looked really, really good. And then at New York, I thought he looked arguably better. And I was really afraid during the New York show that he was going to beat Nick. I really thought he was going to beat Nick. And I think what really saved Nick was the fact that he was losing points that he couldn't open his lats. But look at this man. He is just round in the shoulders, round in the legs, round in the chest. He is thick all over. This guy is huge, and he just has a great structure for bodybuilding. So I think now that he's been a pro for, 4 or 5 years, and he's won his first show this year, got second at a New York Pro. He was 10th at the Olympia last year. I think he has a lot of stock, like people like to say about bodybuilding. He has a lot of stock going for him. And I really think his momentum is just going to keep going up and up. And I think this is why he's going to be number 8 at our Arnold. And I think he might lose a couple placings at the Olympia this year. But when you look at last year's Olympia versus this year, you're going to be like, okay, it makes sense. But we're going to leave him at number 8. So you might be seeing, I'm kind of doing a trend with this, where a lot of the people that I'm putting in front of each other are guys that have beaten each other. For instance, Justin has beaten Hassan and Max at prior shows, at the Olympias, at the New York Pro. Justin has beaten them, and he's even better than he was then at those shows. So who else would be the person that beat Justin? And that is going to be our next pick, who I think is going to be pretty controversial, especially because I saw Nick Strength and Power's video today about who's going to win the Arnold, and he put Mr. Akeem Williams at number 1, and I don't think Akeem is going to be number 1. Now, Akeem's another person I met in person. He is huge as well, and I definitely do think he's bigger than Justin, because I met both of them next to each other, and Justin was pretty outsized from Akeem, but Akeem is another guy. Huge legs, huge body, great structure, but he's someone that is iffy on the conditioning. Recently, he's been doing really well at the conditioning, his past showings, except for his, Puerto Rico, I think he did. He didn't look the best in conditioning, but I don't think he was really trying that hard at Puerto Rico. I think he was like, I'm like 4 weeks out, I'll just jump into a show anyway. I think this is Puerto Rico right here, yeah. You can see right here, dude does look good, but I believe this is Mohammed Shaban right here. I think he did really well that show, but I don't know. I think the thing that pushes Akeem above most guys is just his freaky structure mixed with his size. And if Akeem comes in 100% conditioning, I do think he will go up a few placings, but I just don't think he's going to be as conditioned as people hope he will be. And I do think that the people that he's beaten prior have drastically improved. Now, I know I'm kind of being hypocritical because I put Justin in front of most of the guys he's beaten, but I think Justin improved a lot more than Akeem has recently. I do think Justin has not surpassed Akeem, but I do think other people have definitely surpassed Akeem. So, who are these other people that I think surpassed Akeem? Well, one of them is another person that has beaten Akeem. Actually, I know he's beaten him at an Arnold. I don't know if he's beaten him at any other shows, but you put these two together, and I think structure and size, he beats Akeem very easily. And that is going to be our number... One, two, three, four, five. And that is going to be our number 5 pick, Mr. Sergio Oliva Jr. So, here's a perfect example. This dude is next to Big Ramy, who is the reigning Mr. Olympia. Obviously, he's stepping closer. He's wearing a tank top. Ramy's wearing a t-shirt. Clearly, like, flexing. Ramy's not really flexing, so he's outsizing Ramy, but he's holding his own with Ramy pretty well. Like, even when they're next to each other, they both look pretty big. I think Ramy's legs, obviously, is huge compared to his, but Ramy is just a huge guy in general. I think Sergio, he's been saying he's made a ton of improvements in the past year, and I think we're going to see those improvements on stage. He's someone that has beaten Akeem. He's beaten most of these guys, I think he was 5th at the Arnold last year, and I think he's going to hold that 5th place placing. I really wanted to put Sergio at number 1, but I think Sergio's not ready to win an Arnold yet. I think Sergio will win an Arnold probably in the next 2 years. I think right now Sergio is going to be 5th place, and after this, he's going to try to qualify another way, maybe a couple of months from now, but I think next year's Olympia is when he's going to get his ball rolling back again, but I do think he's going to shock the world with how good he looks compared to most of these other competitors. So now, this puts us in our top 4. We have a bunch of big names in these top 4 that we have not gone through yet. We have William Bonac, Steve Kuklo, Ian Valliere, and Nick Walker. Who is going to be 4th place? And I'm probably going to get a lot of hate for this video, but I'm going to put Nick Walker at number 4. Now, why do I think Nick's going to be number 4? It's not that he's not big. It's not that he's not shredded. It's not that he's not good. He's just smaller stature-wise than some of these guys, and he's very new, and I don't think he's kind of earned his bodybuilding credit, if that makes any sense. I do think that this Arnold is going to show that Nick Walker is a force to be reckoned with, getting 4th at this Arnold, and I think he's going to easily get the top 10 at the Olympia, and I think it's just going to go, those placings are just going to go higher and higher from there, but I think he's definitely going to be 4th place. And a big thing about him getting 4th place in my eyes is that he beat someone that beat him last year at the Chicago Pro, which was Akeem Williams. So I think easily he's going to beat Akeem Williams. He's going to take him out, and he's definitely going to be your 4th place spot. And surprisingly, I think he's going to beat Sergio, even though Sergio is much taller, and the height difference is, their whole structure is completely different. I think Nick will edge out Sergio. Unless they're going for total aesthetics, they might pick Sergio in front of him, but I think Nick is going to have Sergio, and that's why Nick is going to be 4th place. So, in the top 3, this is going to be a weird one. I'm going to put, in number 3, Ian Valliere. So, Ian was actually beaten by a couple of the guys I put him in front of, but I think that Ian is so much better this year than he was last year, and he's so much better each show he does. He was better at Texas than he was at Tampa, and he's going to be even better here, and he's going to be even better at the Olympia. And Ian is literally bone dry, shredded. So I think Ian is definitely going to be your 3rd place here. Now, the reason I think he's going to be 3rd place and not 2nd place is because the person I have in 2nd, I think, is going to edge him out slightly. Now, the person we have in 2nd place is going to be William Bonac. So, William Bonac was a 2-time Arnold champion. I think he won last year and 2 years ago. No, 3 years ago. So, William, he's looking crazy. He's looking good. I think he's still going to be able to hold his own and still be, top 5 Olympian. But I don't think he's going to be holding his own for much longer. I think Williams' placings are going to start slipping. These newer guys are going to start taking him out. But I don't think that's going to start yet. And just to show, look how crazy this dude looks. And I know everyone's been talking about his recent structure in, where is it? Oh, in these little guest posings. His back's looking crazy. He's looking big, but he's another one like Nick, who's a smaller guy. But I think he's much wider and bigger than Nick. So that's what gives him the edge over Nick. And I think he also has the edge over Ian right now. But I think Ian can catch up in about 2 years or so. So this leaves us with number 1. And I'm going to be very controversial in putting Steve Kuklo here, especially since he just got beaten by Ian at Texas. I think Steve's hungry. Steve's the kind of guy, if you listen to him talk, he's like, I screwed up at Texas. I'm coming in shredded. Right here, he's a week out, and he's already 4 pounds lighter than he was stage weight at Texas, so he's clearly coming in shredded. And honestly, if you watch that Texas show, it's him next to Ian. Ian's a huge guy. Steve just towered him, and the only reason Steve lost it was because Ian was more shredded. So I think a shredded Steve Kuklo, which looks like what we're getting, will beat Ian, will beat Nick, will beat all those guys. So why do I have him above William? Because Steve said something recently that made me really think he's going to beat William. Steve said that if he won this Arnold, goes to the Olympia, he'll probably retire right there. And I think that's his end game. I think he wants to win this Arnold, get an Arnold win finally, go to the Olympia, have a great showing at the Olympia because he's going to have huge stock going in. He's going to be amazing there, get a top 5 at the Olympia, and then end it right there. And I think he'll just call his career right there, and we'll have another Olympia where someone retires. And I don't think he's going to win the Olympia, but I do think he'll probably make it there by winning this Arnold. So that's going to wrap up my list of the 11 competitors we have at the Arnold. I will probably do Classic Physique next in probably a day or two. And I might do the women categories, but we're not sure yet. So let me know what you guys think of who's going to win the Arnold and what you thought of my list. I know it's a little weird, a little controversial, but I really have a lot of faith in Steve Kuklo that he's going to take this. So remember, guys, like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video.
Keep my head up when I act, head up, that's a fact. Never looking back, I'ma keep myself on track. Keep my head up, staying strong, always moving on.